We're at the chipping green. We're going to go through a couple of shots and a couple of different wedges, talk about bounce a little bit, loft, etc., and just explain the fundamentals of bounce and loft options. Before we start with that, I just want to go through a couple of things that I see with regards to fittings on a daily basis. So the one crucial aspect or element in your golf bag with regards to your wedges is the loft. I see a lot of guys coming into my store that's got a 43 or 44 degree pitching wedge, and they've got a 52, 56 and 60 option, which obviously by that gap is too big from your from your pitching wedge to your gap wedge. So the one key element that we need to talk about is that you know your lofts of your pitching wedge, so that you can actually marry the gapping and the lofts between your pitching wedge, gap wedge, sand wedge and lob wedge. I think that's a first start that we should talk about. Secondly, bounce is quite a complicated thing to understand, so I'm going to keep it very simple for you guys to understand. So you obviously got a low bounce, which you get the 4, the 8 option, and then obviously the higher bounce you can start from the 8, 10, 12 and 14. And it's pretty simple with regards to the bounce. So if you have a very shallow pattern and you almost like haircut or clip the grass, obviously the lower bounce would be a better option for you with regards to chipping and bunker shots. And if you have quite a steep pattern, I wouldn't say over the top pattern, but a steeper pattern, then obviously the higher bounce is going to give you relief in the sole. So that's in a nutshell, pretty simple. We can obviously go into brief explanation in the fitting. Obviously the higher the bounce is, the thicker the sole at the back for some relief. With regards to the lower bounces, it's a little bit more shallow and narrow. It's very, very crucial to choose your wedges around the green, specifically if you have a problematic area around the green, whether it's being around the green with the short chips, or the fluffy lies or the hard pan lies. I would advise selecting your wedge based on the problematic areas, right? So going back to that, obviously with a higher bounce, with soft fairways, thick rough, etc., the higher bounce is obviously going to do the trick for you guys. And then if you're playing on hard pan, lush fairways, very, very closely mown fairways, the lower bounce is going to obviously help with that area. But the crucial element to picking the right wedges and the fitting is around the greens. So I can't express enough that selecting your wedge around the greens, feeling the turf interaction, is very, very crucial. Yes, you can select it based on previous experience and stuff like that, and that's also fine. But if you have wedge problems around the green, then doing this exercise is really, really crucial, because then you can actually feel the experience and it'll actually be very easy to select your wedge. So right now I have my wedge. It's the 60 T grind, which is the 4 bounce. I've got a very shallow chipping angle. The chipping green has actually been watered right now, so that's quite cool, because I'm very shallow. So let's have a look at the interaction between the wedge and the turf and get a couple of shots in, and then I'll start spicing it up with the different bounces, etc. Let's give a couple of chips a go, yeah? So as you can see, I've got quite a shallow angle into the shot. If I play with something higher bounce, it actually bounces off the turf and I misstrike it all over the face, and it's very, very inconsistent for me. So I like the 60-04. I'm going to run through all of them now, but this is something that I really, really like. I hope that was on camera. I hope that explains the lower bounce option. Okay, so that's a 60-04. I'm gonna go to the extreme and go to the 60-12, which is the D grind. A lot more bounce. As I said, the range has been watered now, so it actually might be okay for this right now, and I'll hit a couple of different shafts just to get the feel. That contact's actually really, really good, I'm not gonna lie. As you can see with that reaction to the ball, you can see the bounce actually created less spin on that shot there. It was struck quite nicely, but I could just feel the bounce kicking in the turf a little bit there. Not bad, but just something that I don't like. So as you can see by the reaction to that, I'll go back to the 6004. As you can see by the reaction of that spin, it's just a lot better for me. And like I said, I'm very, very shallow. I like clipping the grass a lot. I don't like getting steep on it because I just don't want the club to dig. As you can see there, the minute you get steep with it, it's just gonna dig. So for people that have problems with the leading edge digging into the turf, obviously the higher bounce is gonna give you relief around the greens. So that's just an indication for you guys to make a decision with regards to the wedge, but I can't express enough how important a wedge fitting is. I mean, as you can see here with all the wedges we have here, there's a lot of options to pick from, and it gets actually overwhelming. So if you come for a fitting here, True Fit, you can obviously go through the different lofts and the different grinds and experience everything around the greens. Let's try and make one more, and then we can head over to the bunkers. And just to spice it up with a little different chip here. Oh. Would have loved to make that.